I need, there you go. Start all over again. Good evening, everyone. It's 5:04 p.m. and I call this public meeting to order. I want to thank everyone who is joining us this evening. If you want to make a public comment on the items listed on the closed consistent agenda, please listen carefully to the directions provided by the clerk. Ms. Reardon.
Public hearing for visitors who wish to address the board on closed session items. 15 minutes of this portion of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the board on closed session items. Speakers seeking to comment on other items are requested to make those comments during the public comment portion of the meeting at 6:30. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. The school board is prohibited by law from taking action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusions should be drawn if the school board does not respond to the public comment at this time. If you wish to address the board on an item included in this section of the agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining us remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. We will allow speakers from the audience to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have any participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, hearing none, I close public comment hearing and I adjourn to closed session to discuss items 1A through 1D. The board will reconvene at the conclusion of closed session. Good evening. It is 6:39 p.m. and I call this regular meeting to order. Welcome to tonight's board meeting. I want to welcome the media and everyone joining us in person and in Zoom. We ask those joining us this evening to please silence your electronic devices not linked to this meeting. If you would like to make a public comment, please listen carefully to the directions provided by the clerk at the opening of each public comment period. Superintendent Lyle.
President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, and public, I'd like to remind us all of our vision and our mission. Our vision states that Madera Unified will set the standard for hard work, creativity, and resiliency with a fearless drive to continuously improve. And our mission states that we're committed to creating and sustaining a culture, enabling Madera Unified students to experience an unparalleled educational journey that is intellectually, socially, and personally transformative. That's the nature of our work tonight, and we hope to move the ball forward a bit every night.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 3, roll call. Mrs. Reardon, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Martinez Luna. Trustee Ahmad is absent. Trustee Cortez.
Here.
Trustee Dybert.
Here.
Trustee Fleek.
Here.
Trustee Salazar.
Here.
Clerk Mendoza.
Here.
President Seibert.
Here.
President Seibert, we have one absent, which is Trustee Ahmad.
Thank you. Trustee Salazar, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Salazar. Tonight's scheduled invocation will be provided by Pastor Lance Leach of Valley West Christian Center. I invite Pastor Leach to the podium.
I don't see the, oh, there it is. I was like,
It's red.
Superintendent Lyle, trustee members and staff and all those here with so much interest in our district. Thank you for being here. I want to let you know that we had about 20 churches and about 250, 300 people out praying at all the schools this Sunday evening across the district, even the country schools. And tomorrow there'll be a national day of prayer across our nation, and Madera will be filled with young people praying at the flagpole for their schools. I met with a lot of them on Monday, and many of those kids are not just school-minded, they're community-minded. needed. They're praying for a lot of needs in this community. So you've got a great group of students across the schools. So let's pray. God, we thank you so much for the blessings that we have been given here in our community, the resources, mostly these wonderful children. And God, every year I almost say like, oh, I'm about done doing the things that I do for the school because I'm just tired. But then every year, new great kids come through, and you just can't leave. There's too many incredible kids. And so we thank for our parents, for those that help raise them across this community, for the elementary schools, the junior highs, middle schools, and our high schools. We thank you for every one of our instructors, our teachers who give so much time and energy and are dedicated beyond the hours of employment towards these young people. God, we thank you for all those that keep them safe, the security, the plans for security, the hub here that keeps the security well read in on what needs to happen throughout the community. We thank you for them, and we ask your continued safety and blessings across the schools of this community. God, we thank you for the school district here. We thank you for the minds. We thank you for the passion. We thank you, Father God, for the wisdom. We pray, God, that it would continue to grow, that they would not be satisfied with where they're at. They not only believe in so many things within our district, God, I know that they believe in a power from above you, Lord God, that will guide them and strengthen them. God, we pray that the resources of heaven would be opened over this community, finances would flow into Madera, and we'd be able to provide the best for every young person that attends the schools here in this community. Again, thank you for the leadership. Bless them, bless their relationships with their family, strengthen that, because we know that, God, when they're happy and strong, they're doing the best work that they can do for us, our community. In your name we pray all these things. Amen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Pastor Leach. Okay, item 4, closed session reportable action. Superintendent Lyle.
President Seibert, we have none this evening.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 5, adoption of the agenda. Mrs. Raridan.
Action to add or delete items from any portion of the agenda or to discuss any consent agenda items must be taken prior to the adoption of the agenda.
Okay, Superintendent Lyle, does the staff have item to add or remove from the agenda?
Yes, sir, we do. We, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, we'd like to amend item 12A1. We will pull the school plan for student achievement for the following schools. It's just 3. Dixieland Elementary School, Thomas Jefferson Middle School, and Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School. These plans will be brought back at a future meeting for approval, and with the consent of this board, put into possibly the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Trustee, do you have items to add or delete from the agenda? Okay, trustee, do I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda with the modifications noted? Please state your name when you make the motion and if you second the motion.
President Seibert, trustee Salazar, so move to approve the agenda as presented.
Trustee Felique, I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by trustee Salazar and seconded by trustee
President
Fleig.
Seibert, the motion needs to be restated because they're removing 3 items from the agenda.
Yes, as stated. It was added
With
in.
those, okay. My apologies.
Okay, it has been moved by trustee Salazar and seconded by trustee Fleig to adopt the agenda with the modifications noted. Mrs. Raridan, would you please poll the board for the record?
Trustee Martinez Luna. Aye. Trustee Ahmad is absent. Trustee Cortez.
Yes.
Trustee Dybert.
Yes.
Trustee Fleek.
Yes.
Trustee Salazar.
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza.
Yes.
President Seibert.
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 6 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent, and 1 abstention, and 1 vote was preferential. Sorry, no abstentions.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6, communications. Item number 6A, student and staff recognition. Item number 6A, we doing anything on that?
Yes,
Or we
sir.
have to move on? to
No,
the-
we are on Hispanic Heritage Month?
Okay, so 6A1 is Hispanic Poster contest winners recognition, Superintendent Lyle.
So we look forward to this every year because we usually get to see some incredible student artwork and creativity that brings some culture to life right here in Madera during a really important month. For this item, we have Director Karen Diorian. So Ms. Diorian, it's nice to see you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, Superintendent Lyle, and trustees. Tonight, we have the Association of Mexican American Educators here with us to honor some of our outstanding secondary students. Join me in welcoming Mr. Garcia as he comes to the podium to showcase the 2025 Hispanic Heritage Poster Contest winners. Mr. Garcia?
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Lyle and members of the audience. My name is Alex Garcia. I used to be a teacher here in Madera at Sierra Vista Elementary School for 20-some years. I've been retired for a while, and now I put my efforts into the Association of Mexican American Educators, better known as AME. And I'm proud to be here this day to in honor of our Hispanic heritage. This is Hispanic Heritage Month, so the district and AME worked together, I guess in about 2000 to begin a Hispanic Heritage Poster Contest with the junior high and high school students here in Madera. And at first it started off kind of slow, but then now I'm very grateful for the participation, especially at the 3 high schools. The art teachers have done a tremendous job. So when I announce the students, I hope I get the name of the art teachers right, because I want to make sure I put in a recognition for them also. So I just wanted to say a little bit about our organization. Organization was started in 1973 here in Madera. Statewide, our organization began in 1965, and this year it's celebrating its 60th anniversary. So that's quite a milestone, I think we're only the second oldest Hispanic organization in California. I think LULAC has us beat by quite a bit. Anyway, September is National Hispanic Heritage Month, and we are very honored to be here tonight to give recognition to our students who, through their artwork, were conveying the Hispanic heritage. And I will present to them their awards, and also I will show all the board and the audience the artwork framed by myself for the students. And of course, there's a cash award for the students also. So this month is dedicated to raising awareness of the contributions of the many Americans of Mexican and Puerto Rican, Cuban, Central America, South America, or another word, Hispanic heritage. And our organization has worked hard to promote Hispanic Heritage Month throughout the years. So we're very appreciative to be here tonight, and we look forward in the future to continuing the relationship with Madera Unified, which we are very grateful to be working with the district in cooperation of this event for Hispanic Heritage Month. So thank you very much, Madera Unified. And at this time, I would now like to present the awards to the winners of the Hispanic Heritage Poster Contest, which is, by the way, getting very competitive. And thank you very much, students. The competition is very intense because the artwork is excellent. And the committee that reviewed the artwork, we had great difficulty selecting the winner. So if you didn't get first place, the second and third place winners, could easily have been a first place winner. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. So oops, I closed the book. I wasn't supposed to do that. Okay. Yeah. Our first award for first place, which, by the way, thank you to Madera Unified, was printed up by the Madera Print Shop, the Madera Unified Print Shop, and 1,000 or more, I believe, Mr. Lyle, copies were made and distributed to the teachers in Madera Unified for them to put up if they'd like in their classrooms. And I talked to some of the students and they said, yes, we've seen the poster already up in the classroom. So that's fantastic. So I would like to invite Ruby Franco Sandoval, our first place winner, to come forward and receive her award and her framed original artwork. Ruby, would you come forward, please? I have one more thing to you, very important, the check for $100. I think we'll have him stand up here.
Yeah, we'd love to see it too, by the way.
Yeah, can you come up here and then show it to?
Oh, it's beautiful. With the marigolds, that's awesome. And the camera should pick it up too, because we have tens of followers out there on Zoom. Absolutamente, amigo. Por favor. Please.
Okay. Now I'd like to call our second place winners, and we had a tie for second place and third place, so we're going to have two winners for this. And I would like to call Marisol Gutierrez Hernandez to come up, please. Mixed up there. Sometimes we get them mixed up, so I must have got the order mixed up there, and I'll present her for her check now. I'll stand over here so that you can get a picture.
Very nice. I see at least one proud art teacher in the audience. I see you, Adam.
No, that's third place. Okay, now I would like to call up Tiana Gutierrez, please, one of our other second place winners. Tiana? Let me get you your check, okay? There you go. So let's come up over here so they can take a picture.
Oh, yeah, I like that's cool. Lots of vignettes. I'm happy we're making it hard on you, Alex.
Yeah,
That's a good sign.
I am too, because it's a good sign.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic. Oh, yeah, and I want to mention, I'll go ahead and mention it right now. Ruby, I believe your teacher was Mr. Chrisman? Huh? Miss Chrisman. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss. Okay, got that one wrong. And then I did invite them to come, but I wanted to make sure I gave recognition to the teachers because, you know, the teachers have a lot to do with it because they're the instructors and they guide the students. And Marisol, I believe your teacher was Mr. Willett? Okay. And Tiana, I believe your teacher was Miss Guzman? And now I'd like to call one of our third place winners, and that is Valerie Horta. Valerie, will you come up, please? get you your check right here, okay? There you go. So let's stand over here.
Yeah, very good.
That's incredible.
Good job.
It's impressive.
And our other third place winner is Roxana Cortez. Roxana. Congratulations. I'll get you your check here. There you go. Let's come over on this side. Yeah. I forgot to mention the teachers for the last two students. Valerie, your teacher, I believe, was Mr. Mena. Is that correct? Oops. And I believe Roxana from Madera High, I believe Mrs. Sleshitz, Ava? Schleck? Schleck. Congratulations to our Hispanic Heritage Poster Contest winners.
Let's have you all move down.
Move down this way.
The board will
You're
just
in
stand
this.
behind.
You're in this
You
now.
stand up there with them, Mr. Garcia. Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Here. Everybody get in there. 1, 2, and 3. Look right here. 1, 2, and 3. Nice.
Right?
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
So
Good work, excellent work.
So Alex, if there's any of the artists that, would like to share a little bit about what maybe inspired them, they don't have to do that. I mean, they didn't come here to publicly speak
That's
tonight.
true.
But it's pretty incredible to see the level of artistry that we're getting. Every year, the first place winner is really impressive. And usually second place is really competitive too. But to see so many
of them this year.
of such qualities says something pretty
Right.
special. So, if there's any of the artists that, feel like
Any
they
of-
want to share
Any of
anything
you
at all.
students like to come up and, I apologize for not asking that question, but what inspired you or some of your interest perhaps in.
I mean, our tens of followers out there in
Right.
Zoom land
So if
probably
you would
wants to
like come
know.
forward, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tiana Gutierrez, and I was one of the second place winners. When I would look at the Hispanic heritage posters throughout the school, I would notice that it would mainly highlight Mexican culture. And so when I got the opportunity to create my own Hispanic heritage poster, I wanted to sort of recognize every country or most countries that have Hispanic heritage, and that's where I got my
Can we
inspiration
see your
from.
poster again?
Yeah.
To see that? Because it was literally, my eyes can't see that far away.
She's got different, from different
Oh, I see the llama there.
countries.
Yes.
And in the matter of just a few weeks, right, all of those countries became independent from Mexico all the way
Yeah.
through Central America. And a lot of times, those of us living in El Norte don't know that. And so it does celebrate a really special time, when the Spanish Empire was thrown out and independence was now a brand new thing.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty exciting moment to capture, and you did it well.
And while creating it, I noticed that a lot of the cultures have similarities. So it was kind of hard to distinguish like the differences between all
Sure.
of them.
Well, you did. Thank you. Thank you.
We forgot to add that our first place winner represented Torres High School. Our second place ties were from Madera High and Madera South, and our third place ties were from Madera High and Madera South. So all three of our high schools were represented in this award. Thank you.
We love that kind of competition.
Would you like to come forward and talk about your poster? Ruby, come on. Don't be shy. And any of the other ones, if you'd like to come up and talk about your poster, you're more than welcome.
For my poster, I corresponded many of the things that are associated with Hispanics, and I found specific categories that each were different. And I also made sure I had flags of each Hispanic, so to make sure that everyone was involved. That's all.
It's good symbolism. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other students, would you like to come up or?
So Alex, we look forward to this. Please thank everyone at AME for keeping this tradition alive. We're really glad to be closer partners in this, so it's not just always on you all. It means something to us. We have staff that look forward to getting these posters every year. We have a gallery in the back of this building that we keep adding to. Johnny Gonzalez really started that. He framed these, and we keep putting everyone up every year. So I think we have now 15 or 20 years
At some point,
worth.
they got lost, and now that Johnny's brought them back, that's great. That's
Yep.
fantastic.
And Johnny just walked in the room, his ears
Okay,
perked up,
great.
and there he is.
Do the board members have copies that, where they get?
They will get, I don't think they're at the dais tonight, but they will get, we have them in our office, yes, as we always do. Thank you,
very
Ame,
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Okay, item number 6A2, recognition of bus driver Alejandro Murillo.
So
Murillo?
So I want to take just a quick moment, and I see Mr. Murillo here, and I'm glad that he's with his family, and we have some members of the transportation team here with us as well. And we made headlines for all the wrong reasons, but let's talk about what really happened. So tonight's my great honor to recognize a true hero within Madera Unified School District's family, someone whose actions remind us of the courage and the responsibility and care that define our mission to serve students every day as student champions. Alejandro Murillo has been a dedicated driver with Madera Unified for the past 10 years. He's a husband and a proud father of a 3-year-old daughter. He's also, as of this moment, an undeniable example of what it means to act selflessly and bravely in a moment of crisis. On the morning of September 4th, while transporting 19 students from Lavina and Madera South High School, Alejandro's bus experienced a sudden mechanical failure. The vehicle stalled on Avenue 8 and Road 23.5, and it began to smoke and then caught fire. Thanks to the quick thinking of a passing farm laborer who flagged him down, Alejandro was alerted to the danger. And in the moments that followed, he acted swiftly and without hesitation. He remained calm under pressure, evacuated every student from the bus, and ensured that every single child was safe before the flames took hold. It's easy to forget that every school day our transportation staff carry the lives of our children in their hands. But on that day, Alejandro's actions brought that responsibility into sharp focus. His calm under pressure, his focus on student safety, and his courage in the face of danger prevented what could have been a tragedy, and it wasn't. We are confident each of our drivers would have done the same, and we pray they never have to. So tonight, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the entire Madera Unified School District community, we are proud to honor Alejandro Murillo, not just as an outstanding employee, but as a true guardian of our students. Alejandro, please join us up front as we present you with this token of our deepest appreciation and admiration. On behalf of the parents and community and our board, thank you for your bravery, thank you for your service, and thank you for being an example of a true student champion, a real life hero. Alejandro. So, Alejandro, this is for you, sir. This represents, for us, a timeless piece of art that I hope will inspire you, made by hand-blown glass. It says, a hero award presented to Alejandro Murillo, Madera Unified School District 2025. Thank you for taking such good care of students who needed you in the moment. We appreciate you, sir. This is for you, and I hope it is someplace where your kids and grandkids will get to hear the story of what you did that day. Thank you. So congratulations, sir. You can set that right down if you like.
Okay. I just wanted to say thank you to my coworkers that came in and supported me. My director Ewing, Supervisor Lisa, all of you guys. I just don't consider myself a hero. I'm pretty sure most of my drivers would have done the same thing. You know, we get trained every year to do this, and like I said, I mean, I just don't consider myself a hero. I mean, I did what I had to do, and that's it. Yeah, to make it short.
Please to keep it safe. And please go celebrate. That might mean ice cream when you have somebody that.
We will.
Cold Stone's not too far.
Not too far.
Trustees, anything? Would you like to give the trustees the floor for a second if they'd like to say anything?
Just congratulations and thank you so much for your service for our students and keeping them safe, and all the rest of the bus drivers and staff for our transportation department. Thank you so much.
Yeah, drills are never fun to do, are they? But until everyone knows exactly what to do and you give them the commands to do it and everyone follows those commands and everyone's safe. That's why you do what you do. That's why, you know, that's why it's enshrined in Ed Code that we do it, and it worked. And I think that's a really powerful story to be told, you know, to drivers year after year for the next generation. So everyone learns something really positive from a really scary moment in time. So thank you again, Alejandro. We appreciate it. Thank you for bringing your family. That means a lot to us because we know that every morning you leave early to go take care of everybody else's kids, and you have to leave yours.
Thank you
Appreciate
for the call of duty beyond the call of duty, and classified employees. Sometimes they're not seen because you work behind the scenes, ground transportation, child nutrition. So this is really nice. You represent our classified staff really well. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay, we move to item number 6A2, Madera Minute.
So President Cyber Clerk Mendoza, these are the highlights of what's happened here in Madera Unified in the last couple of weeks. They're a lot of fun to show you here and to get out online for everybody to see.
Welcome to this edition of Madera Minutes. First, we're highlighting a Madera adult school success story. Andrew Gallegos, a proud graduate, went on to serve as a student ambassador for the State Center Adult Education Consortium. He was recently featured in a video by Skyeek, sharing his journey and experiences as an adult learner. Madera Unified Athletics and the community-honored fallen Torres High sophomore Rafael Barragan Donan with 2 special tributes. On September 12th, at the Stadium Road Showdown, the Bulldog Blitz skydiving team performed a tribute jump and presented his family with a memorial flag. On September 19th, Torres Athletics and football leadership gave them a signed football brought down during a tribute jump, a plaque, and a poster from his teammates, a lasting reminder of his spirit and the unity he inspired. The Stadium Road Showdown also brought an incredible display of school pride and rivalry. Fans filled the stands, cheering every touchdown and tackle, and in the end, Madera High School brought the SAW home, celebrating community, teamwork, and the excitement of high school football. Recently, our elementary and 7th and 8th grade wrestlers gave an incredible performance at this year's Mules Wrestling Championships. Huge congratulations to all the athletes who competed with heart and sportsmanship. We are so proud to see our future Coyotes, Toros, and Stallions learning, growing, and leading both on and off the mat. Finally, congratulations to several schools that earned top honors in the state's official score release. Madera High received the English Language Arts Distance from Standard, or DFS Award. John Adams Elementary earned the Mathematics DFS Award, and and Furman Independent Study won both awards for alternative sites. For Best Growth, Pershing Elementary was recognized in NWEA Map Math, Matilda Torres High in Reading, and Mountain Vista High in both Math and Reading.
Okay, thank you. Now we move to item 6B, public hearing for visitors who wish to speak on a subject not on the board agenda. Mrs. Reverden?
15 minutes of this portion of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the school board. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. If the subject is an item on the agenda, the board president has the option of asking the speaker to hold the comment until the item is called. Comments on items listed on public hearing on the agenda should be held until the hearing is opened. The school board is prohibited by law from taking action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the school board does not respond to public comment at this time. If you wish to address the board on an item not on the board agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining us remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen.
Good evening. My name is Marissa Gutierrez, and I am a resident of Fresno. I'm also a STEM teacher here at Alpha Elementary, and despite my current residence, I do consider Madera to be my home. I was born and raised here, and over the course of my K-12 education, I've been a John Adams All-Star, a Thomas Jefferson Patriot, and a Madera Coyote. I started my career in education here as an after-school tutor, and when I pursued my credential, I knew that this was the district I wanted to teach in. I wanted to give back to the community that raised me. 4 years ago, I was able to achieve this goal, and I sat in this same boardroom and listened to Superintendent Lyle talk about the Student Champion Pledge and the importance of giving Madera kids the best, regardless of their circumstances. I come to work every day, and I do my best to live up to that pledge. I put in extra time planning lessons and organizing materials, which, if you've been inside a STEM room at an elementary school, is no small task. I read research and I attend professional developments, and I strive to live up to that pledge. I believe that our students deserve the best, and I know that I'm not alone. My car is never alone in the parking lot during those extra hours. If my commitment could pay my mortgage or my love for my students could fill my gas tank, I'd be set. I want to be here, and all I ask is to be able to afford to do that. I stand with MUTA in asking for a fair contract, a contract that allows me to spend less time pinching pennies or wondering if I should be looking for a second job. I want to be here in Madera Unified, and I'm asking Madera Unified to show me that it wants me to be here too. Thank you.
President Seibert, we do not have any other participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no one else, I close public hearing and move on to item 6C, public hearing. I'd like to inform the public that the next public hearing listed in this section is for an item included under the new business. The public will have another opportunity to comment on that item when it is discussed later in the meeting under the new business item 13B1. The sixth is 716 public hearing of the textbook instructional material compliance certificate of provision of standards aligned instruction materials for grade K-12. I already said the time.
If you wish to address the board on this item, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you're joining us remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have any participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Okay, thank you. Seeing or hearing no one, I close this public hearing at 7:17 p.m. Item number 7, Student Board Representative Report. I invite Kaylee Dawes to present the Madera High School Student Board Representative Report.
Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, Superintendent Lyle, Board of Trustees, and members of the community. Tonight, I have the privilege of presenting Madera High's community column. My name is Kaylee Daza. I am a senior at Madera High. I'm currently enrolled in the Medical Careers Pathway. I am an active member of HOSA, Block M, and FCA. Lastly, as a leadership veteran, I serve as social media coordinator for our school. Next slide, please. On August 27th, we held our first and our annual Club Rush during lunch, which was a huge success as nearly 4 dozen clubs and organizations were showcased. It gave students the opportunity to get involved in activities inside and outside of the classroom, offering a chance to explore the new interests and connect with fellow Coyotes. Next slide, please. On September 2nd, our Link crew held their first meeting with all members to collaborate and brainstorm ideas for the upcoming school year. Leaders listened to a presentation on perseverance, which featured interactive games and activities that demonstrated different ways to put perseverance into practice. Next slide, please. Fall sports at Madera High are off to a great start, highlighted by the 4-1 Coyote football, which will have a bye week this week as they head into the league play. Finally, girls flag football has continued to make her story by not only earning their first overall win in the program history, but leaving Memorial Stadium on the back-to-back win streak for their senior night. Way to go. Way to make us proud, ladies. Next slide, please. MHS culinary students competed individually at the Madera County Fair in the Great American Chocolate Chip Cookie Contest, where Willow Roberts took home first place out of 25 contestants. Our state officers, Lydia Vasquez and Samantha Roche, have been working alongside other state officers planning for events like FCCLA State Leadership Conference. Our region officer team, which includes our own Kayla Hayes and Victoria Rivera, have been preparing for our region fall meeting, which will be held next month at the fairgrounds. Recently, our chapter sold lemonade for the Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. Next slide, please. Monday, September 15th was the start of Hispanic Heritage Month. MHS kicked off the celebrations with cultural dances performance during lunch. While the Mexican American and MHS Dreamers Club hosted activities throughout the week and surprised staff with cultural inspired goodies. Next slide, please. On September 16th, MHS held a suicide prevention assembly organized by our counseling team with the Health and Awareness Department. Our school dedicated to raising awareness about students' mental health and providing support for their well-being. The powerful assemblies were followed by an informational fair for the students at lunch. Next slide, please. On Friday, September 12th, MHS ASB leaderships organized the fall rally in the Joe Flores Gym. The theme was focused on Coyote pride and the Madera tradition. With the Stadium Road Showdown, we played games, recognized staff, and celebrated time honoring traditions such as the alma mater. The spirited week was capped by keeping the saw home. Next slide, please. From September 18th to the 27th, Coyote Drama is running Night of the Living Dead. As the featured fall play performed by MHS students, the production, which sold out every night last week, is open to the community, offering a chance to see talented students and support MHS theater. Next slide, please. Please take a moment to look at our upcoming events. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Daz. Okay, now I invite Juan Cervantes to present the Madera South High School Student Board Representative Report.
Good evening, Board President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, Board Trustees, and Superintendent Lyle, and the Madera Unified Community. My name is Juan Cervantes, and I serve as the Executive ASB President at Madera South High School. I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to share recent highlights from Madera South High School, each reflecting our focus on student leadership, belonging, and achievement. Next slide, please. First, we would like to start off with our peer counselors at Fresno State's EDG rope course. Our peer counselors completed a high challenge ropes experience that built trust, communication, and confidence. Students set goals, problem solved under pressure, and left more unified as a leadership cohort, better prepared to support peers and model resilience across our campus. Next slide, please. Next, we would like to talk about our Madera FFA program. Our Madera FFA program delivered an exceptional fair season, fielding 200 exhibitors and earning top awards across ag mechanics, livestock, and showmanship. Beyond winning banners, students demonstrated industry-aligned skills, professionalism, and teamwork, translating classroom learning into authentic achievement and community pride. Next slide, please. Next is our FCCLA Top 10 at Nationals. Senior leader Emery Villegas earned gold and a national top 10 in teacher training after sweeping regionals and state. Her performance showcased career-ready skills, academic poise, and serve-oriented leadership, spotlighting Madera South on a national stage and inspiring our future educators. Next slide, please. Next is our boys water polo program. Boys water polo opened with the winning preseason and a thrilling 7-6 victory over Golden Valley. The team's disciplined defense, clutch scoring, and rising confidence signal a competitive season ahead. Next slide, please. Next, we would like to recognize our cross-country program and star-studded student athlete Miguel Rebollo. Our cross-country program hosted the Dennis Dewitt Invitational at Madera South High School on September 6th, carrying momentum from last year's outstanding season and setting a confident early tone. A special highlight is superstar stallion Miguel Rebollo. He's already broken school records and placed second at the Woodbridge Invitational, one of the nation's largest meets, demonstrating elite competitiveness, leadership, and consistency that lift the entire team. Next slide, please. Next is our club rush that took place in week 2 of our school year. Club rush transformed our campus into a vibrant showcase of opportunities, and students explored academic, cultural service, and activity-based organizations, forming connections that increase belonging and engagement. Our early signups indicate strong participation with leadership pathways for students at every grade level. Next slide, please. Next is our showdown rally and parade. Our ASB team produced a high-energy rally and parade celebrating athletics, performing arts, and CTE achievements. This event showed off our school pride, recognized student excellence, and built unity at our site. Next slide, please. Next is our Stadium Road Showdown Week. Our Spirit Week highlighted cheer, drumline, football, and student leadership with the unifying theme, community before competition. Daily activities boosted attendance, visibility for programs, and positive climate. Students modeled support for one another, turning friendly rivalry into a catalyst for connection and character as both teams honored the life of Torres student Rafael Barragan, with a special presentation involving his family and teammates. It was a poignant reminder that winning is not as important as relationships. Next slide, please. Lastly, we would like to talk about what's upcoming in our Stallion Country. We're engaging families and the community through our upcoming events such as our Old Timers Parade on September 27th, Hispanic Heritage Month celebration on October 3rd, and our CATA Area C Leadership Conference on October 2nd. Homecoming Week taking place from October 13th to October 17th, and our Shrek the Musical produced by our very own Theater Program, October 16th to October 26th. We hope to see you at our upcoming events. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cervantes. Item number 8, Student Board Member Report. Trustee Martinez Luna, I invite you to share your report with the board.
You're good. You got it.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, Superintendent Lyle, staff, and members of the public. I hope you are all doing well and maintaining good health. My name is Vianey Martinez Luna, and I am this year's student board representative for Matilda Torres. A little bit about me is that I was born in Guanajuato, Mexico, and I am a first-generation student. In my spare time, I love to read and stay active. I also enjoy participating in various clubs and sports at school, such as HOSA, which stands for Health Occupational Students of America, and flag football. This year, I am a senior, and my goal for the future is to earn my driver's license and attend a 4-year university to pursue a bachelor's in pre-health and then continue on to medical school to become a doctor. I am so excited and honored to serve as this year's student trustee member, and I hope to make sure students and their voices are being heard at Torres. I'm looking forward to a great school year. Leading into the first semester, students have been adjusting to the new school year well. The phone ban has been the biggest adjustment this school year, with students having to lock their phones in yonder pouches. As the school year has progressed, students have adjusted well to the changes and have made locking their phone pouches before and after school a part of their daily routine. We look forward to seeing the lasting impact of students and their classrooms and how the phone ban has helped them increase engagement in class and socialize with peers. Fall sports have also been in full swing, with football, water polo, cross country, tennis, and flag football all training hard to compete against neighboring school districts. We are excited to see where their season takes them as we approach October. On August 22nd, Senior Sunrise was held with seniors coming together at the Torres football field to watch the sunrise and celebrate the start of their last school year together. HOSA also held their annual blood drive in August. 42 donors were present and were given a pint of ice cream as a thank you for their donation. More recently, our 2025 homecoming theme was announced, with ASB announcing a Hollywood movies and movie genres. Homecoming kickoff. Yesterday was the filming of a school-wide music video. We are excited to see all the fun activities, decorations, and floats that this week brings. That concludes my report. Thank you for your time and consideration and support.
Thank you, Trustee Martinez Luna. Very good report. Now we move on to the consent agenda. Mrs. Raridan.
Items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board vote unless the member of the board or staff requests specific items to be considered and discussed separately and/or removed from the consent agenda prior to the adoption of the agenda. It is understood that the administration recommends approval of all consent items. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended.
And I open this consent agenda for public comment. Mrs. Raridan.
If you wish to address the board on an item included in the consent agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining us remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have any participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Thank you. Seeing no one, I come forward, I close public comment. I now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. State your name when making the motion and when you second the motion.
Trustee Dybert, I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second it, President Seibert.
It's Been moved by trustee Dybert and seconded by trustee Salazar to approve the consent agenda. There's one resolution on the consent agenda. Mrs. Raridan, please pull the board for the record.
Trustee Martinez Luna.
Aye.
Trustee Cortez.
Yes.
Trustee Dybert.
Yes.
Trustee Fleek.
Yes.
Trustee Salazar.
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza.
Yes.
President Seibert.
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 7 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent, which is Trustee Ahmad. 1 vote was preferential.
Thank you. Now moving on to item 10, information and reports. Item 10A, union time. At this time, I invite presidents of the unions to address the board. Mr. Holder.
Board President Seibert, I have nothing to say this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Holder. We move on to item number 11, superintendent's time. Superintendent Lyle.
So President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board and public, the Coyotes Night of the Living Dead, you heard about it already. It's equal parts scary and funny, especially the thriller dance at the end. Congratulations to Mr. Sherwood and his entire team backstage and on stage. And I would caution everyone to watch out for zombie number 1. He's a method actor, 100% in character, even at home. The MLK celebration host committee meeting was pulled together again to plan the annual Sunday celebration in January. Madera Unified is getting more involved since the event is hosted at MLK Middle School, and the committee has graciously agreed to open up a seat or 2 or 3 for our student leaders from our BSUs. The students have asked for authentic leadership opportunities, and the committee wants to include their voices in their future planning. So that's a big development and something really positive. I also want to talk about our poverty simulation that happened today. Our Student and Family Support Services Division held a very complex and meaningful simulation that helps our school leaders experience, see, feel, and understand the pressures our families often endure while raising their children. There is too much to unpack in terms of meaning, but we want to thank all those who participated and especially those who promoted, organized, and led the effort. 2 of our core values were actualized today. We value community relationships and being a learning organization. Today, we can be a bit prouder, smarter, and more empathetic. Thanks to everyone for being involved. Thursday is our Excellence in Education Awards at MCSOS. We sometimes get 0 or maybe 1 winner. All the other districts, when considered against all the other districts in the county. It's a bit of a challenge since we have about 60% of the entire county's student population right here in MUSD. However, this year we have 2 incredible examples of MUSD student champions who were chosen by the selection committee. So our nominees were for Educator of the Year. Actually, I'm not supposed to read this yet, am I? I'm supposed to wait until afterwards. Okay, I'm going to hold off until next time. I'll save that, Lorena. I don't want to ruin it because, I mean, they know, but not everybody else knows. So we will keep that to ourselves. And that's it for me this evening. So thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle.
I got a little ahead of myself because I'm excited for him. That's all there is to it.
Okay. We're doing 12 old business. Okay, 12A1, Educational Services, approved 2025-26 school plans for student achievement. Superintendent Lyle.
So President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board and public, you can see all of these familiar faces if you look really far because they're hiding in the back. Now they are not obscured by all those honorees that were here a few minutes ago. You can see our school principals and some of their key leaders from their staff. They're here tonight to be accountable for their single plan for student success, as is Director Johnny Gonzalez in the back. But here to take the incoming fire is the ever strong Associate Superintendent Sissel. Ms. Sissel, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, Superintendent Lyle, and members in the audience. Tonight, we are here to ask for the approval of the 25-26 school plans for student achievement, also commonly referred to as the SIPSA. And in order to provide as much clarity as possible, 2 weeks ago, we were able to share information closely outlining how the process works for our principals and their teams in the development of these plans. I did want to bring this slide back just as a general reminder. The purpose of the SIPSA is outlined here in these bulleted items for you. It is to set goals for student success. It's an opportunity for principals to coordinate resources. It helps, hopefully, to drive the improvement process. It's to ensure alignment with the LCAP. It asks our school sites to involve their school community in their planning and preparation, and also to support accountability and monitoring. So that was presented at the previous meeting 2 weeks ago, but I wanted to bring that back just as a reminder. Also presented previously, but maybe not as clear, so I thought I would put together something hopefully that lays this out a little bit more linear and helps you understand the time commitment to this. So the SIPSA completion and approval actually starts at the end of what was our previous school year. So back in May and June, our principals, they are responsible for completing what is called the SIPSA analysis. What I will remind you is the SIPSA itself now is almost completely the same document in many ways as the LCAP. So similar in the LCAP, where we have to analyze how we implemented our actions or strategies and look at if it returned the results that we were hoping for. The principals have to do that exact same task. To help them with that process, though, Director Johnny Gonzalez meets with the principal and whomever they would like to have join them quarterly to go through and look at their budget and look at their strategies. But the conclusion of that work kind of happens in May and June. From there, you might also remember that you all are tasked with approving our LCAP annually at the second meeting in June. This is important because the SIPSA template has to be directly aligned specifically with the goals of the LCAP, have to be the same goals aligned in the SIPSA. So technically, we can't start a New Year's SIPSA work until the LCAP is approved. So that happens in June. And then our principals about mid-July begin the work of the process, I would say, for developing the SIPSAs that we are actually approving this evening. They start by looking at where they ended the year and their goal and strategy analysis, and then they determine what they're going to do in their current year SIPSA. So they all have strategies and actions and expenditures that are all based on their SIPSA analysis. They do also, during that time in the spring, they conduct a needs assessment. Oftentimes they do that through their school site council. Things go out through Parent Square, and they also will get feedback from their ELAC as well. But that needs assessment is also played into what they determine to be the priorities for their strategies and their actions. Then in August, right when everything's getting really, really busy, they work to complete their SIPSA. So many of these things are going to sound very familiar to what I talk about with the LCAP. Again, this document is almost completely analogous in the sections that principals must complete. So the SIPSA has a plan description, has educational partner involvement. They have results from their needs assessment. They have to do their annual review and analysis. They have to come up with their new goals and strategies, and then they have to align their budget and complete budget summaries. So they complete that usually in August, sometimes, well, we like to have it done by August because that gives them the second half of August and the first half of September for them to get their school site councils together and present their completed SIPSA to their school site council. As you all know, the SIPSA must be approved by the school site council prior to you guys approving them tonight. So the principals have to meet that particular deadline. And then pretty much October 1st, we like to have all the SIPSAs posted to the district and school websites and available in school offices for review. And upon approval and posting of the SIPSA, the site Title I budget is released and available. So the SIPSA is the transparent forward-facing document that has to be completed with community input and approved through the school site council and by you all in order for principals to access their site Title I budgets. And that is a requirement for the state and federal program monitoring. This week, I've had the opportunity to either meet with trustees or field questions by way of email, text message, and the superintendent's office. And so I thought it would be important to make sure that all trustees were able to kind of hear what each other was asking. So I tried to highlight the most important takeaways from the conversations that I was able to have and Director Gonzalez was able to have again this past week. So we were asked, what's the most important part of the SIPSA for a trustee to read? What we would say is the meat and potatoes of this document and what is really current and what our principals, if you ask them, will tell you they're working on can be found in the section outlined called Goals, Strategies, and Proposed Expenditures. That is the section where you will see currently what they plan to do in 25-26 with their current Title I allocation. And it is in itself about 6 to 7 pages. So the full document, which a few of you have been on the board or involved in the school community for a really long time and can remember when the SIPSAs were maybe 7-10 pages, they're now 70 pages. So it's a pretty significant document. So I think that it is a really great question to ask, hey, if I'm going to try to look at all of these, what's the part that is going to tell me the most about what's happening at that school and how their Title I funds are being allocated? And that would be in that section that's called Goals, Strategies, and Proposed Expenditures. We were also asked both about kind of general, and then some questions came in about very specific schools. And the questions were essentially, how are principals responding to the data presented in the SIPSA? So the data that you all see that is right at the beginning section of the SIPSA, particularly the state data, okay, it's listed there as CASP and LPAC. We talked about it briefly at the last meeting, but as silly as it might seem, that data is 16 months old. So that's why when you ask me personally, and I think if you ask the principals what's the most important part, they probably won't say the data that's actually listed in the SIPSA, because that's the data that is from when our students tested in the spring of 2024. The reason is we give our state testing, we give summative LPAC between February and May, and then we give the CASP assessment in the spring window as well, but that concludes in May. We don't have the authority to publish that data until sometime around October and November of the fall. Well, as you can see, we're here right now. So in this case, they've seen their 2025 data and they are addressing their 2025 and 2026 school year needs in that section I called out for goal, strategy, and proposed expenditures. But that data section at the beginning is old data. It's 16 months old because we don't have the authority from CDE to publish the data, that the assessment data from the students that we assessed in May of 2025. It is always a bit complicated to help make that sound somewhat clear. But what I want you to know is that's why if I'm asked, I say the goals, strategies, and expenditures section is the most important, because how they're spending their current money is partially in response to what they're trying to do to improve the academic outcomes for their students currently. They also utilize their strategic action plans, which I know that's not on the agenda tonight, but we were asked, how are we responding? And so I want you to know that all of our principals are building and developing plans to address their students' academic achievement needs. And they're doing that, again, through their strategic action plans, because those are developed in response to their data that they have access to. And then also looking at the goals, strategies, and proposed expenditures that you're seeing there in the SIPSAs. I've also been asked, why do we follow this particular timeline? It was like, why are we doing it now? Why don't we do it in the spring? Because some of you, again, have been around long enough to remember there was a time when the SIPSAs were, because the state doesn't tell you it has to be done at any particular time. They just say they have to be approved by a school site council and they have to be approved by the school board. We follow this timeline that I laid out for you. One, because we like to have the school site councils involved. They're required to help develop and review the SIPSA annually. For many schools, the planning and review process begins in the summer, but it then concludes in the fall, and it then comes to you guys. Our goal is always to bring it the second meeting in September for approval. This also is in alignment with state and federal programs. So the SIPSA aligns with the LCAP and the requirements for the federal Every Student Succeeds Act. So this plan is used to allocate state and federal funds. Districts must have approved plans in place for the new school year. So again, all of the information that you find here around budgets, without the approval of their school site council and then the approval tonight, they can't access those funds. And technically, and Arelis can clarify this for me if I'm wrong, but it's operating on a fiscal year. So September 30th, technically, their previous year's budget closes. Without these approved, starting October 1st, they don't have access to Title I funds. Okay. And then again, they come to you for approval, and you're a crucial part of this process, because without your approval, again, no access to those funds is available. So I tried to answer or clarify as many questions as I could this week. Much appreciation to the area assistant superintendents and our principals yesterday who were working closely with our office to get you the information that was requested by school site. But now we're here, they're here, ready to answer any particular questions that you feel like you need clarification on in order to feel comfortable approving these plans this evening.
Okay, board members have any questions, comments?
I just have one question. This information is 16 months old. How is it that they process it? Is it by hand or does electronically or?
So the data is uploaded, so we get a data file from the California Department of Education. I think I had it on here and I didn't read that to you. But we receive a data file from the California Department of Education, which is uploaded. Our principals they're not responsible for, they don't have to go line by line. All that data that you're seeing for the past 3 years, that's all automatically generated through a data file through the California Department of Education.
I'm sorry. So the data that's processed by CTE, it's in their hands that deliver that data to the school districts?
Yeah.
And then, so are they, I don't know, why does it take so long for them to process that? Any particular reason? That's what I was wondering. I don't know.
I wouldn't.
It's probably in their corner, but I don't know.
I don't know the ins and outs of why the assessments, they close in the spring. They have to obviously, and we do get what we call embargo data, sometime during the summer. But they have to go through and they verify it through a process that I'm not familiar with. And it will become public here in October. And then the California Schools Dashboard is published in January of 2026 with the data from May of 2025.
So it would be safe to say we have no part of it, and it's not our fault at any way, any shape or form, correct?
Oh, yeah, no, this is, yeah, that we don't have an option to upload the data earlier. We don't have that capability.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sissel.
Open this up for public comment. Mrs. Reverend.
If you wish to address the board regarding this item, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you're joining us remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have any participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none come forward, I close public comment. Trustees, do you have any questions for staff?
I would just like to make a comment. I'd like to thank Director Sissel. It was very helpful, and I'm very thankful that you and Director Gonzalez took the time to meet with individual board members, because that made it a lot easier to look at the SIPSA and realize what was important. Thank you.
Anyone else? Your mic's on.
I agree with Trustee Fleek. Director Gonzalez and Mrs. Sissel, you guys made it easier for me to understand. It took a couple of times for me to understand, what this document was about. And if you have to take a test and you can correct me afterwards, this is a reporting document that you have to comply. And then that's the way I look at it. And then the section that is highlighted in yellow is an analysis that the principal does based on that data. And then the section you talked about goals, strategies, and proposed, that's what you're going to do next, correct? But this is just the analysis, the annual analysis. But in between, you do the SAP, right? You sit down and you look at NWA, and that's, for me, I think it's the most accurate data and the most immediate action, I guess, a principal could do, because years sometimes is you look at it after a year, it's a little too late. I don't know, how often are the SAP analysis? Every 3 months or every 4 months?
Have them 4 times. Yeah.
Four times, okay. Okay. And that's where you look at your data that was after NWA, they review their previous action, and then they can modify their action, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so my question is, so this data is 16 months old.
Yes.
So when you guys receive it, different sites look and see how they're going to apply their Title I funds and see what the strategy is. If the strategies they've been working on, if whatever's been implemented hasn't been working. So say, for instance, I have James Monroe here that in third graders, the percentage of meeting their goals and so forth went down. So when we get this reporting, and we've been doing NWA, looking at that data, are we looking at third graders should be fifth graders now? How are they doing? How are they progressing? Is our strategy working? What we implemented, is it understood? We look at all those different phases of for the outcome of the student.
Yeah, so I could let Mr. Espinoza come up here and speak, but I think just generally I can answer on behalf of any of our principals. They all have SAP teams. Those SAP teams are represented by grade level leads and content area leads, if you're talking more high school. And they don't only just meet on the SAP days, they meet twice a month with those teams, and they're not just reviewing. Now, generally, NWA is sort of like, think of it like a benchmark, and it's diagnostic, but they also have their summative assessments that they give more frequently in between, and then also looking at common formative assessments, which are really much smaller snapshots of how to identify if students are learning or not what they're being taught in the classroom. And every one of ladies and gentlemen behind us who are leading our schools are doing that work. And so they look at every grade level. They look at the achievement in every grade level in elementary school. You mentioned elementary school. In secondary, it looks a little different because it's more content specific. You're going to bring all your Math 1 teachers together. You're going to bring your Math 2 teachers together. And they have that carved out professional learning community time or collaborative team time where their focus is on, looking at what do we want the students to learn, and then how do we know when they've learned it, and what are we going to do in response when they don't, and what are we doing in response when they do. And that's really that cycle of improvement that all of our principals are looking at. So to answer what I think you're getting at is, this is a very general look. They take a very detailed look, and they do that work monthly with their SAP teams, leadership teams, guiding coalition teams. I'm trying to think of all the names that they have, but those are those teams of teachers that help them with that work. And it's definitely happening more often than at the 4 SAP meetings that happen annually.
Thank you.
I think one of the things that might need to be just shared with everyone is, as this document has gotten thicker, we also had some trustees on the board who aren't sitting with us today, so we're talking about the departed at this point, who took this really seriously and felt like it was up to each trustee to dive as deep as possible and understand every aspect of this before they could possibly vote yes. And we heard that sometimes in public from some of our former trustees. In actuality, that's the school site council's responsibility. Your job is, as it's lined out, is to see that this process was done on time, that people's voices were included, that it's compliant with Ed Code, and that you know that our staff and our principals are doing all that they can to support their schools. And so somewhere along the way, we've really put a lot of weight on this particular document, rather than the LCAP, which is really our responsibility here at the district level. So at some point, and it was brought up by one of our trustees, at one point this was a consent item for years. But because there were some worries about the professionalism and the efficacy of some of the leaders and whether their site councils really had a voice, it was put into new business. And it stayed there, and it's become a heavier and heavier item every single year. I would submit that, especially with the work that is now automated and the work that Johnny is doing, or Director Gonzalez is doing, to really support the principals, and the work that the area assistant superintendents are doing to support the principals, and that their principals are networking to support themselves. That's one of the reasons they're all here. I think it's really important that we call out the fact that they're getting better and better and better at this, even though it's getting denser and more challenging and complicated. And it was brought up earlier, like maybe we're at the point where this could potentially be a consent item again, until we see some discrepancies, and then we can pull that item and put it back out right on the dais whenever the board would like, and we can bring it right back out, and we can address issues like we are tonight. But that might be a way forward, because this is such a strange process with data that's 18 months old. And so I just wanted to bring that forward as a possibility on how to handle this in the future, so that some of our principals might be able to be home tonight and be on Zoom instead of present, and with us one more night out. So Ms. Sissel, anything you'd like to add to that? I mean, that's me speaking on behalf of everyone, and I'm not sure that I'm capturing everybody's voice here.
No, I think we're good.
So President Seibert, or Superintendent Lyle, so you still will have to bring it to us twice. Do you have to have a first reading, or can it come just once to us? Does it have to come for
To be
first
honest
reading?
with you, there's nothing in Ed Code that says it has to be a first and second read. It just has to be board approved. We've always, well, since I've been responsible for the process and supporting the process, we've done a first and second read because of sort of the opportunity for trustees to have a deeper look and be able to ask questions in between the board meetings. So that's currently why our practice calls for a first read and an approval. Ed Code just says must be approved by the Board of Trustees.
So So I understood, Assistant Superintendent Cecil, that this data, the first part of the SIPSA, has already been presented to us. Like the data that you showed us earlier, the LCAP, is going to become old data when you bring the next SIPSA, probably.
Correct.
So if it's data that we already received, I don't see the need to bring it as for discussion because we already did, and it's old data. But for me, the most important part is the strategic action plans that are brought, periodically every 3 months. So if it doesn't require first reading, President Seibert, I wonder if we should just include it in the consent agenda. And if the trustees have any additional questions, you can always meet with us in small groups like we do when we have additional questions.
Do we have consent on that?
President Seibert, well, right now it's an action item, correct? And we'd have to vote on it, first of all, but if that's something that Trustee Dybert and the rest of the board feel that maybe we should move it to consent item, maybe we can, during our closed session, maybe we can put it on the agenda and then vote it at that time.
Yeah, it's
Set the
really,
agenda.
it's really up to the clerk and the president. You get to decide how you'd like to handle this, but that can be changed any year. I mean, it could go into consent, and if there are irregularities or things that feel like
pulled out.
there aren't, there isn't clarity on something, that particular item can be pulled out. It doesn't have to be every single school site plan. It could be just one, or it could be a handful, or it could be all of them if it seems to be a need, and that's how we got to this point several years ago. But we've been working hard to improve it, to get to the point where we're winning back some trust and trying to get as professional with this as we can. So we'll do it however the board prefers, but I just wanted to restore that as an option for your consideration.
Yeah, when we look at this data, it seems like all the time, several times during the year. We're gonna look at it again now. It's on. Yeah. So we need to move on to do we have a motion and a second to approve item number 12A1? Please state your name and make an motion and second the motion. Did you have a comment, Trustee? Please?
Yes, I like it being brought up twice because then we get to see it and think about it and look it over, and then we get to vote on it. And that makes more sense to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, can we move on to a vote on this, or?
Trustee Dybert, sorry.
Okay,
go
we've got a
ahead.
couple more
I didn't see.
comments here.
Can we just vote on it, then you guys could discuss another day? We got principals here waiting for you to say something.
President Seibert, yeah, basically, if it's moved into the consent agenda and we view it and see it, if there's something that doesn't seem to, there might be some questions out of, we can always pull it and then have a discussion on any particular one, any specific school or whatever that it applies to. And then just keep the rest of it in consent agenda. I don't know if that would help or maybe help the trustees to better get a better hold of it or handle of it, and maybe discuss it in groups with the responsible person.
You're the one that told me we were supposed to talk about it right now. We're supposed to vote on it.
President Seibert.
Okay, well, I wasn't listening then. I apologize.
President Seibert, I move to approve the second, I'm sorry. I move to approve the 25-26 school plans for student achievement.
I second that motion.
Okay, moved by Trustee Dybert and seconded by Trustee Salazar to approve the item number 12A1. Ms. Raritan, would you please pull the board?
Trustee Martinez Luna. Yes. Trustee Ahmad is absent. Trustee Cortez.
Yes.
Trustee Dybert.
Yes.
Trustee Flake.
Yes.
Trustee Salazar.
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza.
Yes.
President Seibert.
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 7 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent, and 1 vote is preferential.
Thank you. Move on to item number 13, new business. Item 13A1, administrative and support services, present and discuss the proposed 2026-27 school attendance area adjustments. Superintendent Lyle.
President Cyber, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, we have Deputy Superintendent Sandra Schwartz here for this item. And I just want to preface this by saying this is one of those rare occasions. I mean, it is a rare occasion in Madera Unified history where you get to actually take some action tonight that makes schools healthier and better. Not action tonight. Not action yet, right? But provide us some feedback. So this is an item that's really exciting, and it's very helpful to the community and to the health of our schools. Deputy Superintendent Schwartz, have at it.
So good evening, President Cyber, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, Superintendent Lyle. The principals that all left the room, I took note. They usually need something or want something from me, so I saw how they bailed when I walked up here. The purpose of this item this evening is to provide the board with our initial thoughts on boundary adjustments as a result of opening King Hussein School in August of next year. I think before I start, I want to acknowledge that the district and staff fully understands changing schools for students is extremely difficult. It's tough on kids and families. And so the district makes every effort to minimize boundary changes and tries to hold off on adjustments as long as we possibly can. Fortunately, the district's been able to hold off on boundary adjustments pretty much over the last decade. The last significant elementary boundary change came in 2017 when we opened Rose Elementary School. So really no significant changes since then. So tonight I'll share our initial proposal. This fall, we will be holding community meetings for parents and students of affected schools. And at those meetings, we'll gather feedback from them, suggestions, concerns from all of the stakeholders, and then we'll bring that information back to you, the board. And then the item will come back to the board at the end of the year with all of that feedback and any adjustments based off of that feedback for your approval. So tonight, it's not an approval item. It's just kind of getting our eyes on it for the first time. And also, before I get into the presentation, I'm going to answer a question that typically is on the community's mind. And that is, as a result of a boundary change, my child is supposed to move to a different school. What if I don't want them to move to a different school? What if I want to keep them at their current school? And so we have a process for that spelled out in Board Policy 5116, which deals with open enrollment. And so the board will ultimately need to weigh in on the priorities established under that board policy for open enrollment. So it ranks kind of the priority list. And so the board can we'll work with the board to establish where they want continuity to fall on that open enrollment kind of list. And so that would be the process for parents to go through if they wanted to keep their child at their current school. And we understand there's a lot of reasons why. The good news is that when we've done this in the past, schools were significantly impacted. We didn't have space for them. That's why we were making a lot of these boundary shifts. So we weren't able to grant all of the open enrollments. But as a result of kind of stagnated enrollment in our district and the opening of several new elementary schools over the past decade, we have some capacity, and I think the majority of those open enrollments will be able to grant. Okay. And so I'll jump right into this, but also before I do, let me introduce somebody that you probably don't get to see very often, that works behind the scenes, that does a phenomenal job with our projections and boundaries. This guy is pretty much spot on. I appreciate that he talks in numbers like I do, but that's Chad Wallace, who is our facilities planning analyst, who puts most of this together for us. And those of you in the room that work with them know, like, pretty much we're like, man, how are you so close every year? So, all right, on our agenda. So we're going to look at the attendance criteria and assumptions. So when we're building these attendance areas, what criteria do we look at? What assumptions are we working with? We'll present the proposed attendance area adjustments. We'll review what the enrollment projections would look like. as a result of those attendance area adjustments, and then present something that we have just talked about, but a possible change to a high school feeder pattern. So school attendance area criteria. First thing we want to do is optimize school capacities or utilize school capacities. And essentially what that means is, I know a lot of times we want to say all of our schools, each have 600 kids in them, but that doesn't make sense when some of our schools are actually built to house 800 kids while others are probably built to house 500 kids. So we look at the capacity within schools. So perfect example of that would be a Pershing or a Rose versus a Monroe. Pershing and Rose are designed to house more kids. So if we have the ability to utilize that capacity, we will. So we want to create neighborhood schools. So we want kids to have walk-in schools. We want those kids to be able to walk. We want them to be able to come to the school and use the playgrounds in off hours. We don't want students driving by a school to get to their elementary school. We want to utilize transportation efficiently, so we want to minimize bus routes, the amount of time students are on buses. We want to create enrollment balance, and that doesn't mean equal enrollment like I just said. What that means is having adequate middle school and high school feeder patterns. So we have to look at those schools and where they feed into to make sure that we have balance in our middle schools and high schools for their capacities. And then we'd like to maintain elementary, middle, and high school feeder systems. Although I just prefaced, I heard somebody goes, ooh, interesting, the proposed high school change. So assumptions. And these are some of the assumptions we work with when we look at doing this. Number one is our student to teacher ratios. These are our staffing ratios when we're determining the staff needs at school sites. So it's 20-1 in TK. It's 24-1 in kindergarten through third grade. It's 30-1 in fourth grade. And it's 35-1 in fifth through 12th grade. Now that's not class maximum sizes. That's not a hard cap. That's what we look at in terms of providing staff. And then it shifts based off of that. We're also working with the assumption that we'll be opening King Hussein School with TK through 7th grade students. I know internally we had some discussions on possibly only opening with K through 6. I'll show you ultimately why we kind of landed on K7. But based off feedback from the community and the board's recommendation, it could be K6. But K7 makes sense. Just we have the space, we probably should utilize it. Number 3, we're working on the assumption that King Hussein will feed into Madera High School, and that's maintaining the current feeder pattern. So the students that will be going to King Hussein are coming from John Adams and Lincoln for the most part. I think all of them. And those two schools currently feed into Madera High School, so those neighborhoods will continue to feed into Madera High. And then number 4, we look at all the future residential growth. We listed on here, we know King Hussein and Lincoln are going to have, over the next decade, a lot of growth, but we also know Parkwood and Alpha is potentially going to have some growth. So, but we listed those two and internally talked about Alpha and Parkwood. So here's our map of the district. This is everything, and then I'm going to break it down by schools that will be experiencing changes. So on this map, there's a lot going on here, but if I explain it, it's pretty simple. The red, and I don't think these pointers work very good. They don't. Okay, so the red, I'm looking at Lincoln. That red box is currently Lincoln's attendance area. So you can see it's going that red box around where King Hussein and Lincoln are. That's Lincoln's current attendance areas. So the red lines on there are the current attendance areas. The shaded areas are proposed new boundaries. Okay. So using Lincoln as an example, you can see that red shaded area. We're proposing basically Lincoln attendance area getting cut in half there. The top half north of the river is going to King Hussein. It's now green. It retains its bottom half, and you'll see we're proposing that Lincoln's attendance area comes a little south of that red line all the way to Howard Road, which currently feeds into Howard. Okay, so that's how you read this map. I'll get into details on each of these areas. The big picture here, just to give you the 10,000 foot level, we're opening King Hussein. That's what's ultimately driving this. So everything north of the Fresno River would then be going to King Hussein. That would shift John Adams and Lincoln's boundaries to the south and to the east. John Adams is going to have to absorb Madison's boundaries. We opened Madison as a DLI school. It really hasn't had attendance areas. We've overflowed any kids that are in Madison's attendance area to Sierra Vista ever since we've opened the DLI school. So anybody in Madison's attendance area, if they don't want to go to the DLI school at Madison, get overflowed to Sierra Vista. So we're eliminating that attendance area, and John Adams is having to absorb it. So that's the bulk of the major changes, but let's look at all of them. King Hussein. So King Hussein's proposed attendance area is the green shaded box there. You'll see it's everything north of the river. And we've broken it down, and you can see that each of those areas tells you how many kids currently we would be taking from those schools. So that area, we'd be taking up on the north part of that attendance area, 25 students from Dixieland would be now going to King Hussein. On the southwest border of that attendance area, we have 453 students from Lincoln that would be going to King Hussein. And on the west side, we have 177 students from Adams. Now, one of the things we grappled with is you'll notice that there's a neighborhood that is actually south of the river there that we are indicating going to King Hussein. And part of that is to help keep John Adams enrollment down and to keep King Hussein's up a little bit while we wait for homes to be built out in the Village D area. So next to the schools, you can see how many students they would have there. So King Hussein would have 685 students, and John Adams would drop all the way to 547. Lincoln would be at 679. Any questions? I mean, you're going to have lots of questions, but anything just jumping at you right now is I'm going to keep going.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
So the one that's the oldest school is John Adams, right? So
Yes.
547 students. Would the school be able to house that comfortably, 547, and have room to grow, or that's are you considering because they have portables too, right? So
Yes, I mean, if the question is if we took all the portables off the campus, would we be able to house 547 students? The answer is no. What can John Adams comfortably house? Each school is going to be slightly different. I think I have in my notes back here, we feel like John Adams could house 600, 650 comfortably.
How many do they house right now?
I've got that slide back here. You're jumping ahead on me, but that's okay.
I'll wait.
Oh, it's okay. Chad's probably got it.
Currently Adams is
Seven something.
Adams is at 719
Okay, 719.
as of last report.
So they'd be dropping almost 200 students. Okay. Let's go to the next one.
Real quick, so with the 585 547 Adams is because it'll be taking some of the non-DLI students out of Madison, right?
Yeah, you'll see.
They'll be incorporating in there.
Yes. Adams will be losing 177, but they'll be gaining from the Madison attendance area, and you'll see that, yeah, when I get to theirs. Okay, so Lincoln is next. So once again, the red outline is Lincoln's current attendance area. The kind of the beige or off-white color down here is going to be their new area. You can see they're losing 453 kids to Lincoln that we've already reviewed. They would be, their attendance boundary would then push down south all the way to Howard Road. And they would pick up 127 students there from Howard. And then also move just slightly to the east side of Granada, where there's some of the condos there. There's an apartment complex there, and they would pick up 77 kids from John Adams. And that would push Lincoln's enrollment or drop Lincoln's enrollment to 679. Which is the same number you saw in the previous slide. Okay. Now, one of the things that we're keeping in mind is when we talked about new housing, we know that we have to have capacity at Lincoln and King Hussein as new construction continues to happen west of those schools. So the one thing we can't do is, try to use all of our capacity, all of our seats at those schools, because we'll be making an attendance area adjustment real fast. So how fast? It just depends on how fast those houses move. We've got members on the trustees that probably know much more than I do about when those houses will get started.
I think you'll get more housing going to Nishimoto in that area, and James Renault from on the east side of Madera.
Yes, we saw that too.
Because you got 42 homes already been approved by KB. Yep. Plus another in that same off of D Street.
Yep, Chad's got all those.
Mhm.
He tracks all those, and he goes out and drives and counts.
So those are gonna either go to Berenda, Nishimoto, and James Renault, and all those areas in there.
Yeah.
They fall right in the middle.
So you just saw from the Lincoln attendance area, this one is Howard's. So Howard's current attendance area is the red outline. What would happen on this is you saw Lincoln was going to move to the south. Yeah, this really doesn't work on this TV.
No, it doesn't work against that surface.
Lincoln pushes south, takes that area away from Howard, and then Howard is going to push to the east and take that. It's really just this spot right here. There's 57 students that live in this neighborhood.
Why are we doing that? Why are we taking those 57 students from there? Why don't you just leave them in Howard?
We can.
I mean, I would just leave them in Howard because your Alpha's already pretty full, 663.
Yeah. And so that's why we were trying to take them from Alpha and push them to Howard to keep Howard's enrollment up to 363. If we don't take those 57 students, Howard's enrollment would just be a little over 300, and Alpha's would be probably closer to their capacity.
That'll be better for those students because they go from K through 8 in Howard, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. So that's the Howard adjustment.
And Alpha could stand to use a little relief.
And there's going to be new construction going on there too.
One of the strange things too that didn't get mentioned here is that those Alpha students don't go to MLK, they go to TJ. That small strip. That doesn't make much sense. So they're with their peers all the way through 6th grade, and then we split them because there wasn't capacity for the right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
This way they'll be better they stay at Howard.
we think so too. It makes sense.
We would agree. And initially, making attendance area adjustments is never fun. I mean, it's tough, but if we can keep these boundaries in these attendance areas for a decade, it's good for kids, and that's what we're aiming to do. All right, so here is Alpha. So we already just discussed the red, once again, is their current attendance area. So you saw they lost those 57 students, went from Alpha to Howard. Then Alpha is growing north all the way up to Olive Avenue in the area around Madison. So they're taking, that's currently Madison's attendance area that we're not using. So it's going to absorb those students. And right now there's 68 students that live in that little area, and they are going to Sierra Vista right now. So now they'll be going to Alpha. That's going to be much better. You talk about neighborhood school.
Could that balance it out? The 57 you take away, you're getting 68 from Madison.
Yep.
That were going to Sierra Vista before.
The other thing we're looking at, and this is something we just discussed, and we can go either way on this. There has been, and we've been looking at this for years, but there's a little pocket right here. You see this 83 students from Alpha to Parkwood. Right now, that is part of Alpha's attendance area. There's multiple apartment complexes there, heavy density. There's 83 students. They've been going to Alpha for quite a while because we just didn't have the capacity at Parkwood. Parkwood's seen some declining enrollment, so this actually gives us an opportunity to shift those to Parkwood so those students aren't having to cross Madera Avenue to get to school.
Are those the apartments?
Yeah, they're all apartments.
They're in the corner of Almond and...
Yes.
Okay, so none of the Dunham, all of those houses?
I think that Chad would know. That's all apartments, isn't it? Yeah, that whole box is.
There's 3 complexes that are just jammed in together really tight. One of them is the Pepper Tree one there, but they're real close and very dense in there with students, always has been.
So you can see Alpha has got some relief there with that move. So they're down to 663, which allows them to absorb some of the new growth out in this area. The 811 at Madison's probably alarming to some people. It is a lot of kids on a 10-acre footprint. The nice thing about Madison is we can control what the attendance is. We decide how many kids are in, classes, how many sections are offered, and that is actually maxed out based off of what we're doing now. That's TK through 8th grade.
With the 2 buildings?
Yeah, that's with the new building. Yep.
7th and 8th. Yeah.
So we're adding 12 classrooms there. We should be able to, I asked Rosalind this the other day, I don't want to quote it, but I think we can take 8 portables off that campus after we get this building done here.
They're going to need more green space once those buildings are built.
Absolutely. Madison, yep.
I was going to say don't remove portables. They end up putting them back on there, but I think Madison,
we feel safe. Yeah. Yep. Then we just talked Parkwood. So Parkwood would be just taking that little apartment complex area right there, the 83 kids. So their enrollment would then be at 677. You would think Parkwood could house a lot of kids because it's one of our newer schools, but I would say Parkwood's 700 or so is probably about all we would want to have there, ideally. It's one of those schools we haven't added a lot of portables to. All right, this one gets kind of tricky and complicated, but I think you'll pick up on it pretty fast. The hashed line there, the hashed outline, that's Madison's attendance area. You can see that those 68 kids down there are going to Alpha now. You can see 74 kids would be going from Sierra Vista to John Adams. Technically, it would be Madison to John Adams, but right now they are going to Sierra Vista. And then east of 99, so you can see Freeway 99 going through the middle of this. That little sliver is part of Madison's attendance area, and right now 76 students from that attendance area are overflowed to Sierra Vista. So what will happen here is Sierra Vista will just absorb those 76 students, and their attendance area goes all the way to the freeway. Okay, so they take that sliver away from Madison. So Madison's attendance area got carved up into Sierra Vista absorbed piece, John Adams absorbed a piece, and and Alpha absorbed a piece of it.
With Sierra Vista and Rose, that area southeast that Crown Homes is going to build off of Road 28, just south of 13 and a half. He's got what, like 50 acres there he's going to build on. From 13 and a half all the way to 13.
Okay.
Up to that bridge.
Okay. Yeah, north of Rose?
South.
South?
South. He's finished already north of Rose. He's
Is that
going to be.
Chavez?
Would that be Chavez off of Road 28 and 13? That's Crown Homes building there.
Is that Crown?
It's going to be a similar subdivision like he has right there across from Rose. Yep.
But what attendance area is that? Oh, yeah, Chavez.
Chavez, okay.
Okay, and then here's John Adams. John Adams probably is going to experience, most of them make a lot of sense. This one, I think, is one of the tougher attendance area shifts because they're shifting all the way to the southeast there to Olive Avenue, so around Madera High School. So they absorb all of Madison's attendance area north of Olive. And then they lost that section to the north to King Hussein. And they would be at 547. That's probably the lowest John Adams has been in, 20 years.
So as an example with John Adams, they built that wing of room 16 through 20 in like 1980 because they went up to 600 at that time, but we were loading classes at 35, 35 to 40. My mom had a class with 44 one year at Adams. So that's not to say anybody wants that again, but this will be the lowest Adams has been since the 1970s.
For sure.
And Sierra Vista too is at 700. That'll be the lowest Sierra Vista's been since probably the 1970s or 1960s.
So based on all of, and there's a lot of adjustments there, but here they all are. So based on those adjustments, John Adams would go, and I think this is the data you were asking for, Trustee Dibert. John Adams would go from right now, they're at 721. They would be at 547. So they're down 174 kids. Alpha would drop from 768 to 663. Dixieland would lose those 25 students. Howard is going to be down 104. King Hussein obviously has 0 now. They'd be at 685. Lincoln would drop from 827 to 679. Parkwood is going to go up because of that shift that we talked about with the apartment complexes. And we're kind of on the fence about it. We think it makes sense, but and then Sierra Vista, which this is huge, would drop to 523. And I think I put a note on here just because I think it's so shocking.
What would Madison drop? Will Madison drop anything?
Madison's going to actually, you'll see all of the schools on the next page.
Oh,
Madison
sorry.
actually is going to go up 20 students, and I'll tell you why. But what's shocking, I don't know if Jamie's still in the room. No, but Sierra Vista only has 16 permanent classrooms, and they have 21 portables. So, to be able to get them down to 500 is, I think that's really good for kids in that community.
So some of us in the room are we've been here for a while in this community, but in about 1975, our schools were close to their designed capacity. And then we started adding portables, and we added a couple of fixed wings at a few schools, and then we quickly couldn't keep up. We were able to build Alpha and Brenda, 15 years later, but we couldn't keep up at that point. And we ended up in year-round schools. And that really devastated a lot of the progress the community was making, how it felt about itself. A lot of families moved away because they did not appreciate that overcrowding, that environment. And this has been a very long, arduous process from multiple boards in this room trying to get to this point where a few school bonds later, we're at the stage where we're near our design size, which we haven't been in 50 years. So that's pretty remarkable. It gives it, and if we're nice and honest about everything we're experiencing, we're seeing a slight decline in enrollment. Now that gives us an opportunity, believe it or not, to start doing some things at our schools that is pretty healthy, and for our community that's pretty healthy. Nobody wants to be in decline enrollment. That's a kiss of death in a school district. But we also know, as Trustee Salazar is bringing to our attention, that there are housing developments that are popping up. They may be small, but there's a few that are larger that are nearing groundbreakings, and we know that there's several large ones that are on the horizon. So here we are at a point where we're near our design size. The community is growing a little bit while we're experiencing a declining birth rate, and we're actually in a place where we can do something to adjust our school boundaries, help ourselves, have a healthier experience for our kids. It's a pretty exciting moment where, as Sandin says, Deputy Superintendent Schwartz, as he says, where we're close to the design capacity of some of our older schools for a change, instead of well beyond. And Sierra Vista is like probably the absolute worst example of a school that's double the size in portables than it is in fixed actual classrooms. So this is really important to our teachers, our kids, our parents, and our neighborhoods, that we keep up this pressure on this kind of building so that we can modernize and we can create the kind of community that people do want to live in long term and want to move to. So I just wanted to share that because this is relatively historic, actually.
And then this slide here, you're able to see the enrollment at our current, and then our projected enrollment after we open King Hussein next year. So kind of October of next year's picture. And you can see the change. To answer Trustee Salazar's question, you'll see on this, Madison actually is going from 784 to 811. And part of that, the main reason there is we're shifting right now. They actually have a DLI TK housed at Alpha because they don't have the space. And so we're shifting that DLI TK back to Madison. So that's why they're growing. Other than that, they're going to have the same number of sections or same number of classes. And then that's why Alpha is going to drop a little more too. But yeah, and you can see some of that we already went over. So that kind of paints the picture. This is the map as if everything that we talked about tonight, if this is what the community wants and this makes the most sense at the end of our feedback sessions, this is what the attendance areas would look like and the various enrollments. All right, let's get into some high school stuff now. So you probably can tell where we're going just based off of the title on this slide. So right now, Howard 8th graders feed into Madera High School. If we continue with that pattern, which we can, you can see the enrollment on the left of Madera High School, and you can see the enrollment on the right of Madera South. So in the Chad worked these numbers out all the way till 2029, and you can see in 2029 Madera is going to be at 1,921. They can handle that. Madera South High School is going to be at 1,928. Obviously, they can handle that. The concern we have possibly with this, though, is complete underutilization of Madera South. Madera South High School, I think when I was there, we had 2,800 kids. When Horacio was there, it was over 3,000. I think a lot of us have worked there. I think it can adequately hold 2,600 kids. So easily. I mean, I think ideally that's what we would
27,
have.
28.
So we're drastically underutilizing that campus. The other thing is Madera High School. We talked about the growth at like Lincoln and King Hussein. Well, those kids are eventually going to get to Madera High School. So we probably need to plan for increased enrollment at Madera High School. We're going to have increased enrollment at Madera South too with the Parkwood, Alpha area too, but we're not worried obviously about that. So that's continuing as is. We just wanted to take a look at, okay, what if we shifted Howard to Madera South High School? Geographically it makes sense. We've talked, and I hopefully I'm not, but we dream big. We talk about like ag academies at schools, and if someday in the future we could create an ag academy at Howard, it would be a natural fit for them to move into the Madera South through the Madera South feeder system. So they would skip MLK, they would just go straight from Howard to Madera South. So this is what it does to the enrollment. So it makes Madera South look pretty good. It drops Madera High. That's good for two reasons. One, it allows for future growth in some of those areas we know we're going to have it. And two, hopefully I'm still around, but we need to do some modernization work at Madera High School. I think everybody in this room would agree. So
Yeah, because in order to do that expansion, you have modernization of you got to remove some existing buildings to put new buildings.
Absolutely. So we need to decrease enrollment
For a
so we
period-
can
couple of
shut
years.
down a building,
Mhm.
take a building offline, reconstruct, because it's going to be piece by piece. Oh, yeah, believe me.
So where is Lavina goes into Madera South?
Yes,
How about East Arcola?
Also.
also.
So your country schools will go into Madera South. Where's Dixieland go?
Torres.
They go to Taurus.
Okay, you got a lot of people in Dixieland that are from what, east of the 99?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think, let me see if it's on one of these
It is, yeah.
maps.
There it is.
Yeah, you can see that little yellow kind of bubble up there on the top. East of 99, that's where a lot of Dixieland's enrollment comes from.
Wow. Could you, or if you could take that
Can't take 'em away,
area
'cause you
out
take 'em away,
there
then you
east of
close down Dixieland.
99, It's in Dixieland, and spread it out more to schools on the east side of 99. You could merge Dixieland and Howard.
The way they were back in before unification.
And
you
they'd all,
thinking?
they'd all go to their south, they're all country schools. Something you might look at or talk about.
Okay. And so as I started with, actually before I do, I did something right before the board meeting. I was just for my own curiosity and I thought it was interesting. I wish I would have done it and had Chad add this to the presentation, but I'm like, man, 10 years ago, September of 2015, how different are we in school size enrollment from 2015 to what this projection shows? We have, Millview is down 300 kids. Sierra Vista is down 300 kids. John Adams is down 265. Chavez down 217. Washington down 204. Howard down 191. Monroe down 161. Pretty much every school is down more than 100 students from September of 2015, except for Alpha, Pershing, and then the country schools. Besides Howard, Lavina, Easton, Dixie. So let me see if I put that. I said, okay, well, how many of our schools back in 2015, we had 9 schools with over 800 students enrolled. Next year, we will have 2. Pershing, barely over 800, and Madison, barely over 800, 811. We had 4 schools in 2015 in the 700s, and we will have 2. So we'll only have 4 schools in the 700s or 800s, and 10 years ago, that was 13.
And if you would have done this all the way back to, say, 1995,
Oh, year-round school, I don't even want to
it
go
would have
there.
been absolutely obscene. Right. And so I know that, it's not always popular to talk about school bonds. None of us want to pay more tax. I pay my fair share right here in Madera every year. But the work that's been done by successive boards to get us to this place, and with the community support, what a difference we stand to make. I mean, this was cheesy, but I'm going to admit it. When we were all in here discussing this, when the team first brought in these boundary shifts, I kind of got emotional because I remember how bad it was in the 90s. I remember how our kids felt. I remember how our parents felt. I'm looking at a few people who were in our schools working at that time. You remember how that felt. This is a huge step forward, like in the history of this community. And so there's a lot of people that got us here who aren't here tonight. And it does like, just to me, it does feel like a moment we should honor all of that work, all of that sacrifice, all the taxpayer support we've had. But this gets us to someplace pretty healthy. So
once again, next steps, we don't have them scheduled yet, but we'll be going out to those schools that are affected by this so that we can speak to parents and families in October and November. And then we plan to bring this back to you December or January. I'd like to say December, but because we only have one board meeting in December, sometimes it might be tough for us to do. So between now and the end of the year, I know a lot of you will be talking to constituents. You'll be talking to people in the community. Please reach out to me if you want to give me feedback. I'll bring Chad and Rosalind in. You guys, we're always happy to talk to you. Or I'm sure Superintendent Lyle is happy to field any suggestions, concerns that you're hearing or you might have. So, any final questions before I step away tonight?
No, I'll just say, when we passed that first bond, of course, Becca did a lot of work on that. Kind of work together, and we figured ag community was going to oppose it, so we went out to everybody we thought was going to oppose it, brought them into the planning, and then once they understood what the community's need was, none of them opposed the bond, and we got that first one passed. From then on, we passed, I don't know, 2, 3 more.
Yep, 2 more after that. That's right.
The last one was with the highest approval rating that we've ever had.
Yeah. So you've had the ag community and all the community in support. As long as they know what we're going to do and what the need is, we'll get support.
But you had good leadership in those bonds too. I mean, not just staff, and you had community leaders that were pushing the bond, that were making the vote happen.
Absolutely.
Going door to door knocking.
Absolutely.
And doing a lot of phone calling and banking. A lot of work.
Thank you to
First bond,
Century 21.
First bond, Carlos was in charge of running that thing, and he wasn't getting the volunteers because he sent notes out. Then he started calling people, personally calling them. He personally called people.
Who was that?
Oh, Carlos Beckett. And once he started personally calling people, then they came forward. If you just send out emails and stuff, they can ignore that.
Yeah, but he
When they
reached
get a
out.
personal phone call.
He reached out to get a good team behind him.
Just as a bit of foreshadowing, The team that Deputy Superintendent Schwartz leads is also going to be working on a facilities master plan modernization plan that is required by the state of California. And I think the reason I just want you to mention it a little bit more specifically than I certainly can, because part of what you already saw and what you've already identified, I heard the comments, and I'm ready to score a facilities touchdown on this because I know it can change the district for decades. We have a window of opportunity, and it's a window of opportunity that Madera High has never had since probably the 1970s when those Pebble Tech buildings went in, and so it's been a really long time. So just as a foreshadowing,
Sure.
mention
So,
that, please.
just recently, the Office of Public School Construction, OPSC, changed some of the requirements for school districts to receive state match. So, when we build new construction, we apply to get state match. As you all are very well aware, we're supposed to get 50%. It's nowhere near that. But one of those new requirements is you have to have an updated facilities master plan every 5 years. So our facilities master plan is like 10 years old now. So we'll be bringing an RFQ, request for qualifications, soon to go search for somebody to do our next facilities master plan. The requirements from OPSC are pretty general. It's not detailed enough. So we are going to recommend that we get into some real detail on a couple of school sites that we want to do modernization with. So like Madera High, for example, and really lay out, not necessarily design the buildings, but footprints, sizes, how would it be phased? So which building's coming offline first? Where would the first building go? So we'll have those discussions along with you, with whoever ends up with that contract. So we're ready to go once we have monies to move on modernization. We're already at one step ahead of the game.
Isn't it on Friday on CalSat in a meeting, they talked about some funding for modernization buildings, grants to apply for.
We'll have to look at that. Yeah. And this is so it's a pretty historic moment. And the bad news is we're looking at a $12 billion shortfall for next budgetary year. That's what we're already hearing from the Legislative Analyst's Office. That's a lot of money. So is this going to happen right away? No, it's not going to happen right away. But if we're cautious and we're thoughtful and we're prepared, and we are, I think, really diligent in our planning, we have a chance. There is a window of opportunity where the population might be down enough at Madera High School. The conditions could potentially be right. They don't look like they'll be right a year from now with that shortfall. But who knows what comes after that. So, I think the team that Deputy Superintendent Schwartz is leading is trying to think about the contingencies. There's several of them, and the future planning is difficult for all those contingencies, but we need to be as prepared as we possibly can be because we recognize the community wants us to do something with Madera High School. The future generations of Coyotes need us to do something. Jefferson is one we know. Washington is one we know. Those are the schools that I think we talk about the absolute most. And there's a few others, but those three I think always seem to top the list. And we have just a very small window of opportunity to do something. And, you can see over the history of Madera Unified since 1966, this has been the only opportunity to do these things that any board has ever even got to contemplate. So this is, we have President Seibert, who's lived through the majority of those years, on this board. I'm not exaggerating. Like, this is pretty exciting, but the stars have to align also. So thank you for all of that planning. We appreciate it.
I want to thank you for, getting on this ahead of time because over the years, it seemed like we always dragged our feet. And like Madison, what we're doing now, building Madison, the 7th and 8th grade. we talked about doing that years ahead. I mean, if they, I guess, I don't want to blame anybody, but that could have been done already.
Well, I want to thank the board and the community though, because of those bonds being passed, we were able to play catch up and build the schools that we should have had a decade ago. And we're at that spot now. Now we can be proactive and do the things that you're alluding
You
to.
gotta be proactive.
Yep.
So when the money's available, you're first in line instead of coming from behind and trying to catch up. So thank you for, stay on it, doing our facility planning. And, you know, you can plan a building a little bit ahead of time. So when the state has money and match and stuff, you're ready to go. And we haven't been there in past years. Seems like we're always a little bit late.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Okay, where are we at now?
13B1.
13B1, okay. This is Educational Services, adoption of resolution number 15-2025-26, textbooks and instructional materials compliance certificate, a provision of standards aligned instruction materials for grades K-12. Superintendent Lyle.
So President Cyber, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, we have two highly accomplished professionals here from the Ed Services Division. Our two directors of curriculum and instruction, Ms. Nicole Guerrero and Ms. Tina Teneinhaus. The floor is yours, ladies.
Thank you. Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, Superintendent Lyle, and Board Trustees. Director Teneinhaus and I are here this evening to present this annual routine item, which follows the public hearing we held earlier for the textbook and instructional materials compliance certification of standards-aligned instructional materials for grades K-12. Each year, Education Code requires the governing board to determine through resolution whether each student in the district has sufficient textbooks or instructional materials that are aligned with the state content standards. Sufficiency of instructional materials under Ed Code 60119C1 states that sufficient textbooks or instructional materials mean each pupil, including English learners, has a standards-aligned textbook or instructional materials or both to use in class and take home. This Ed Code does not require two sets of textbooks or instructional materials for each pupil. This specifically applies to the core content subject areas of English language arts, mathematics, science, history, social science, and foreign language. The resolution before you affirms that Madera Unified School District is in compliance with the State Education Code regarding sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for all students, kindergarten through grade 12.
Okay, thank you. And I open this item up for public comment. Mrs. Verdon.
If you wish to address the board regarding this item, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you're joining us remotely and would like to make a public comment, please click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have any participants who wish to address the board at this time. Also, I want to, just for the record, Trustee Martinez Luna left at 8:07 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, come forward. I close public comment. Trustees have questions for staff?
I do. So what happens when the new math comes out for 2026?
So that's a great question. We actually are both working with our teams for a new math adoption this year. So we're working with our math adoption committees. And so once we do that, we'll be bringing that new math curriculum to you for board approval.
And for the dual language, it'll be kind of something accommodating.
The same, yes. And we have some of our dual language teachers involved in the adoption committees as well.
So I was noticing because in the regular eighth grade that we have like what history, I forget what it was, history, alive U.S. history through industrialization. But in the DLI, we have something different for the history that we approved before.
We use the
They
same.
have history, I'm sorry.
It should be the same core textbook for the DLI as well for history.
Okay.
They do work, we have built interdisciplinary units for the DLI program at Madison for both 7th and 8th grade with history, SLA, and ELA standards. And so we are using some supplementary materials for history that are in Spanish in
Like
order for the
social
students to
science and all
read.
that as well.
Yes, but specifically in regards to history, that might be what you might have seen, is that we're using some supplementary materials that are supporting that Spanish language as we are building those interdisciplinary units.
Okay. And the science as well?
Science is being taught as a separate it's not part of the interdisciplinary unit, but it is, so they're using the core textbook as well. Director Ochoa knows exactly the percentage of, because each year the percentage of Spanish language to English language increases. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look into that, but I can get that for you, what the breakdown is for that in 8th grade and where science falls into that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Now we entertain a motion and second to approve item number 13B1. Please state your name when you make the motion. Yes, second the motion.
President Seibert, I so approve to adopt a resolution number 15-2025-26, textbook and instructional materials, compliance certification of provision of standards, aligned instructional material for grades K through 12.
Trustee Fleek, call second.
Trustee Seibert, your mic's not on.
It's been moved by trustee Salazar and seconded by trustee Fleek to approve item 13B1. Ms. Raridan, would you please poll the board?
Trustee Ahmad is absent. Trustee Cortez?
Yes.
Trustee Divert?
Yes.
Trustee Flake?
Yes.
Trustee Salazar?
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza?
Yes.
President Seibert?
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Okay, thank you. Now, item number 13C1, fiscal services. Adopt resolution number 16-2526, public agency retirement services PARS, to provide a retirement incentive program supplementing STRS PERS for eligible employees. Superintendent Lyle.
So President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board and public, we have CFO Garcia and Assistant Superintendent of HR Aiello here for this item. And as he mentioned earlier, he's a little nervous that if he gets tagged, he can wrestle to the audience's cheers just the way Garcia can. So good luck on the tag team. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, Superintendent Lyle. As we anticipate difficult financial times in the near future, we're bringing to you a resolution to offer the early retirement incentive. In collaboration with the Human Resources, we have already identified like all the employees that may qualify for the plan. Now we use the Public Agency Retirement Services, PARS, has been in the business for over 40 years and has helped the district in previous early retirement incentive offers. The last incentive was in 2021 with 90 participants taking the incentive. I may see someone here that took that, right? And so we have through Zoom, we have Dennis Ju, and he is being very helpful with us, and he has already prepared a presentation to go over more detail on how the plan works. But so, Assistant Superintendent Joe Aiello, would you like to add anything else before?
Yeah, it's late.
Okay.
Okay.
Dennis, Mr. Jewett, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, hi. All right, good evening, Mr. Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Lyle. My name again is Dennis Yu, Executive Vice President with PARS, and I'm pleased to present information for the board regarding a potential early retirement incentive program. I have a quick presentation and I will be available to answer any questions the board may have. Can I have the next slide, please? Just brief background about our company. Our company has been in business for more than 40 years. And what we do is we specialize in providing these early retirement plan services. So we help the district provide services from the initial implementation of the plan through the overall administration of the program. So not only are we here to set up the program, but we'll provide decades of administration for this program. Next slide. Just a brief background of some of the more than the 350 school districts that we work with throughout California. We've actually worked with their district on numerous occasions over the past 18 years. But again, we have experience working with more than 350 school districts throughout California on these early retirement programs. Next slide, please. So a retirement incentive is a pretty simple concept. What we're trying to do is the district would be offering a one-time financial incentive for people to retire a little bit earlier than they otherwise would have. And what we're trying to do is to try to generate or create some salary differential savings between a long-term senior employee and a new hire employee. And again, that salary differential is intended to hopefully pay for the cost of the program and generate some additional savings for the district. And so what we're trying to do is to try to triple or quadruple the normal rate of retirement. That's what we call natural attrition. That's the concept of if you don't offer any plan at all, some people will retire on their own anyways. We're going to try to triple or quadruple that. And then our plan over the years has been very effective to help also avoid layoffs over the years through use of our program. Next slide, please. So how these plans work is that on the agenda this evening is a resolution to create about a 45-day enrollment period for employees who may be interested in taking advantage of the early retirement program to enroll. So if somebody wants to enroll, they have to submit an irrevocable letter of resignation to our PARS office prior to the enrollment deadline. And so once the deadline is closed, PARS would know exactly who is interested in enrolling in the program, and we're able to conduct a pretty thorough fiscal analysis at that point in time to determine whether or not there is actually enough savings for the plan to be worthwhile for the district or not. So the board will have an opportunity to see the actual number of participants and the actual fiscal savings before you decide whether or not to approve the plan, or actually the plan can also be rescinded if it doesn't meet your district's fiscal needs. Next slide, please. So the plan would be offered to all certificated, classified, confidential management and supervisory employees. The benefit offer is similar to what the district has offered in past incentives, which is a benefit level called 60% of final pay. So to kind of give the district, the board, an example of what that 60% of final pay, what would that mean? Let's say that we have an employee earning $100,000 to make the math easy. You would take 60% of their salary, which in that case would be $60,000, and that would be the contribution that the district makes to fund the retirement incentive program for that employee. The district would spread out that $60,000 cost in that example over a 5-year time frame, and the district would purchase a tax qualified retirement annuity through an insurance company called Pacific Life Insurance Company that would actually make those monthly benefit payments to the retirees. And the benefit of using this tax qualified annuity is that there are certain tax favored advantages that both the district and the employee can benefit from. Next slide, please. And so the employee would have the ability to choose how they want to structure their annuity. So for example, if they want to receive lifetime monthly benefit payments, they would have that option. If they want to receive the funds faster over a shorter fixed period of time, anywhere from 5 to 15 years, employees would also have that option. So they would, at the end of the day, the employee gets to choose the financial payout structure that makes the most sense for that employee. And it would be PARS's job to help each employee make sure that they understand the pros and cons of the different benefit payout choices. Next slide. And so we will accomplish that by providing a variety of education methods for your employees. So we will send them a financial enrollment packet that will show them exactly what they could expect to receive from a PARS incentive program. We will come to your district site to do both group meetings and individualized counseling. And then throughout the whole 45-day enrollment period, we will have a toll-free enrollment line available Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. That will allow employees to, again, ask any questions that they may have about the plan. Next slide, please. The actual plan design itself, these are what we're assuming for the program. So it's all employees who would be at least 55 years of age with 5 years of district service with a full-time equivalency rate of at least 0.5. Employees to take part of this incentive, would have to resign by the end of the 25-26 school year, no later than June 30th of 2026. The benefit level offered will be 60% of final pay. The replacement salary. So as part of our analysis, we are looking to see potentially what salaries would your employees be replaced at. For those that do retire, where would you replace those employees? We've looked at some historical trends that we see, and we've created some assumptions that we would use for our analysis. And in addition, we do also factor in healthcare costs, retirement contribution costs as part of our overall calculations. Next slide, please. The next slide just shows you kind of the basic model of calculation that we use at PARS. So this is the same model that we've used in the past. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to see is whether or not this retirement incentive will actually result in a net benefit to your district. So we're trying to see if, after all the salary differential savings and the payment of, the PARS incentive program, can there be a net savings that is actually derived from the program? If there is a net savings, then again, it may be financially beneficial for the district to move forward with such a program. Next slide, please. And so on the next slide just shows you the number of employees that are currently eligible for the program using that 55 years of age with 5 years of service criteria. Currently, there's 418 employees. You can see how they're broken out among the various employee groups. The bulk of the eligible employees are going to be in the certificated non-management ranks. On the third column, we are also doing kind of what I would call crystal ball projections as far as how many people we think may take advantage of the program. So this is using our statewide statistical averages, how many people we think will take advantage of the plan given this incentive offer. We're forecasting that approximately 77 employees at your district will take advantage of this plan, which is about 18% of the retirement eligible group. Next slide. The next page just shows you kind of the age distribution of those 418 employees, where they are from an age standpoint. So again, what we're going to do is when the enrollment window closes, we'll know exactly who's taking advantage of the program, and we'll be able to give you more detailed analysis at the time when the plan actually is closed. All right, next slide, please. And then the next page just shows you, again, assuming that 77 employees did take advantage of the program at the different retirement rates that we're forecasting. We are projecting a net overall savings to the district at what we call 100% replacement, which means, again, if 77 people retired, we're assuming that all 77 positions are backfilled in that case. And we are projecting over a 5-year period that the district could save a little bit more than $600,000 over that time frame. And then you can see that if not every position is replaced, there would be the potential for additional savings. So again, we'll be able to rerun all of these numbers when we know the actual names of the participants that want to take advantage of the program. But this is kind of, again, our initial estimate based off of your current demographics. All right, next slide. This is the last slide I'm going to present in this presentation, which is the timeline, the proposed timeline that we're going to be using. So assuming the board does approve the resolution this evening, that would immediately open the enrollment period for this program. We're going to give employees about 45 days up until November 7th to decide if they want to take advantage of the program. But within the next 45 days, PARS will be working with your employees, educating them about the plan, and again, I'm trying to see if, again, who would be interested. And again, those that want to participate have to sign an irrevocable letter of resignation. We'll be coming back to the board on November the 18th with the actual number of participants and the actual savings that we're going to be projecting from this program. And so at that board meeting, this board can decide whether to approve the program or to rescind the program. Assuming that the board decides to move forward with the program, employees would then again retire no later than June 30th at the end of the 25-26 school year. And then on August the 1st, their first PARS benefit payment would commence. So that concludes my presentation for this evening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Okay, thank you. I now open this item for public comment. Mrs. Reardon.
If you wish to address the board regarding this item, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining us remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have any participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none come forward, I close public comment. Trustees, do you have any questions for staff? Ruben?
Just, so have other school districts been able to save money with this process of encouraging retirement? Hello?
Yeah, so from the PARS standpoint, yes, we looked at your employee demographics to make sure that there would be enough savings from such an offer. And so we have many examples of districts statewide where there have been budgetary savings. And the key factor, what we do look at is that salary differential between, the senior level employee and also the new hire. And if there is enough salary differential savings, usually that will generate enough savings to make the plan worthwhile. So again, we're seeing enough, based on the current demographics, we're seeing enough salary differential savings to make a plan worthwhile for your district.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, at this time, I entertain a motion and a second to approve item 13C1. Please state your name when you make a motion and second the motion.
President Seibert, I so move to approve adopted resolution 16-2526, Republic Agency Retirement Services, PARS, to provide a retirement incentive program supplementing STRS PERS for eligible employees.
Second.
Trustee, I will second. Thank you.
Trustee Cortez, seconded. Okay, I have been moved by Trustee Salazar and seconded by Trustee Cortez to approve item number 13C1. Mrs. Reardon, please poll the board.
Trustee Ahmad is absent. Trustee Cortez?
Yes.
Trustee Dybert?
Yes.
Trustee Flake?
Yes.
Trustee Salazar?
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza?
Yes.
President Seibert?
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstention, and 1 absent.
Thank you. Item number 14, announcement. Superintendent Lyle, do you have any announcements for the board?
I do, President Seibert. I want to thank you for, I want to thank the board for approving that study, because we recognize that things are about to get tougher financially, and we know we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to retain all the jobs of all the people that are providing such important services to our students and our staff. So thank you for that. Tomorrow's homecoming is the homecoming parade at Torres High School. It begins at 9:45 a.m. The same evening is that same evening is the homecoming carnival from 5 to 8. That's a really fun time. Lots of food trucks are out and lots of games. Kids will be out with family. It's a really good time. The Excellence in Education Awards are scheduled on Thursday, September 25th from 5 to 8 p.m. at Madera County Superintendent of Schools. I think we have we already have some RSVPs from our trustees to attend. I don't know that we can add anyone. So if you have not RSVP'd, I'm not sure. I think have we missed our window, Ms. Rardin?
And no, we have everybody that has confirmed their attendance. The only one that I have not attending is Trustee Cortez.
Okay, all right. So it's a good evening and it'll be a fun time. It's obviously a very first-class event in every way. So we'll be happy to see you there celebrating some really fabulous educators. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Okay, item 15, miscellaneous. 15A, Board Advisory Committee updates. Trustees, have any updates you want to share with the board?
Yes, my Google Doc is not uploading, but I'll try to remember. I attended a couple of school site council meetings. The first one was at John Adams, and on the same day I attended TJ. And I was very pleased to see a good turnout at John Adams. There were at least 4 parents, so they had a quorum along with staff. And at both school site council meetings, I observed that they went over the basics. It was their first meeting for most of them. So they went over, they did an election of their officers, and they went over the description of what school site council is. The principal at John Adams, just like we saw in the Madera minutes, she reported that John Adams was placed first in math and number 4 in ELA. So I'm not sure if that was district, all grades, or whether it was just the grade level. I didn't catch everything. Then I went to Thomas Jefferson, and Principal Garcia had about 3 parents and 2 students from the student council members. And they also went over the electing their officials. One of the things that caught my attention is they talked about the graduate profile. And the students in 7th and 8th grade, they're already practicing for the high school. So the 7th graders present, I guess last year they presented to their peers. And of course, a lot of them were very shy. And the 8th graders presented to staff. Principal Garcia also noted that they have created a hub for teachers to access to some videos of students, 5 students that did their graduate profile, and they showed us, and that student, the 8th grader, looked very very self-confident on her presentation. So the teachers will have that to look at and work with the students. Also, the newcomers, they also did really good. They expressed that. Yesterday, I attended Madera High School as well. I have my notes here. I attended Madera High School school site council meeting, and but it was virtual. We were driving, so I couldn't see how many, but they had a quorum as well, and they're all having good attendance and good participation. The only thing is, I was trying to attend one of the other. Some schools are offering their attendance virtual and in person, and some of them in person. And there was one school, I think it was Madera South, and I was told that they were not going to offer it virtual because they already had all the members in attendance in person. But I'm thinking that some schools are missing the opportunity to include other members, other parents. Although, you have a quorum and they're the ones who make the decision, but I think the more we open it up and make it available to other parents, the more you'll have more participation, and maybe in the following year they will want to be, move up and be officials and be more involved in our school site decision making when it comes to budget and programs. So I would like to see that either do it through virtual, or maybe offer it a little later to have more parent participation. At John Adams, though, I should mention that a lot of the parents said that 3:15 or 3:30, the meeting was, it was good because the parents were picking up their students. But some other schools, some parents were saying that they should offer it a little later. So, thank you. That's all I have to report.
Anyone else? Come on, go ahead.
Mr. Cortez too. Several schools have had their first school site council meeting. I was able to attend Madison, Chavez, Parkwood, and Sierra Vista, and they have 5 school site council meetings each school year. Mules Wrestling finished with their championship day on September 12th. Girls flag football continues, and boys football can be attended on Fridays. The board had a special board meeting on the 17th, and Cal Suburban School Districts, Cal SSD, had a day-long virtual presentation on the budget on September 19th. It was really long and I don't want to say boring, but it was.
You already did.
But a little bleak also.
Yeah.
A little bleak.
Yeah. And Hispanic heritage was celebrated by our migrant students at Millview, also on the 19th. There were many families enjoying food and activities. Thank you.
I attended a couple of site meetings. The one that I remember is at Berinda's the most, but they did their elections as well, the first meeting, and they went over their Title I funds is over. But one of the things that they also were doing, they're picking their parent for DLAC and PAC. And the only thing I shared from my part was it was important to have those parents be at those meetings because we really look to their feedback for our LCAP and those different things. And so I shared that with them. And then same thing, I attended by Zoom the CalSAT meeting from Sacramento. And like superintendent, it was bleak, but it was interesting, the budget and everything and kind of things that we need to look for and the guardrails we're going to have for these next couple of budgets. But that's it.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing, announcement. Well, I'll do it later.
Nothing from me, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to, let's see, we're in item 15B, suggested future agenda items. Trustees, do you have any items you would like the board leadership to consider for a future board meeting?
President Seibert, not for the board meeting, but Superintendent Lyle provided us with a list of topics for our next, what is it called? CSB, mini conference, CSBA.
I don't know if we'd get it a formal name, but we're bringing you all
Yes.
together for a special workshop during what would be the CSBA window.
I would like to, I was reading some articles that we get through CSBA and all the different articles we get as board members, but I would like to see in that presentation our CTE programs and how they, how up to date and how our students are going out to get a job after they take the CTE classes. Maybe observe a class at the same time and see which one is really, if we have businesses out there that are wanting to recruit their students after taking those classes, somewhere along that line, which ones are more popular, which ones are really helping our students, if they're not going to a 4-year college, they want to go into the manufacturing, whatever it is, I would like to get that data. And also, does the district follow up on after graduation, like how students are doing and?
We certainly do try, but we can provide some of that information for you, sure.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, now we'll move on to item 16, advanced planning. Next regular board meeting is scheduled for October 14th. Item number 17 is adjournment. It is 9:30. And I adjourn this meeting. Thank you for attending the board meeting tonight. Good night.